Hello, everyone, and hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining us today. I'm looking forward to getting some great information from Pincrest-Queensway Community Health Center with details on the Canadian Ontario Jobs Grant. I'm Greg Chambers, Regional Director for the NGCOA, Eastern Ontario Outaouais Chapter. My two colleagues with us today are Sean Hunter from the Southwestern Ontario Chapter and Blair Breen from the Central Ontario Chapter. Speaking from PQCHC will be Aaron Byron, Employment Services Team Supervisor, and Rob Kay, Employment Liaison, Employment Services. Our agenda today is quite simple. I will hand it over to Aaron and Rob, and they will inform us of the programs available to our facilities in Ontario, how we can utilize these programs, and the steps to getting registered. We'll be taking a few questions during the presentation, so be sure to send us your questions through the chat room feature, which Sean and Blair will be monitoring. They will also be asking more of your questions to the presenters at the end of the presentation. We wouldn't be able to host these informative sessions without our platinum sponsors, so wanted to thank them. Clubcar, Integra, Moneris, Moosehead Breweries, Tion.com, and the Toro Company. For housekeeping purposes, please note today's webinar is going to be recorded. In addition to the recording, we'll also be providing the entire presentation to everyone following today's session. Everyone's microphones are currently muted and all your cameras are turned off. For optimal viewing, please be sure to set your Zoom screen up on full screen mode and activate the speaker view on the top right-hand corner. Regarding questions, as earlier mentioned, you can use the chat function at the bottom of the screen. Please note that you will not be able to see everyone's questions, but we will be reviewing them during the presentation and asking them on your behalf during and at the end. I will now hand it over to the team at Pincrest-Queensway Community Health Center.
Hello. Okay, so as Greg had mentioned, my name is Erin Byron. I am the team supervisor for Pincrest-Queensway Employment Services, which is a department of Pincrest-Queensway Community Health Center. I'm just having a little bit of difficulty seeing the slides right now. Oh, there we go. So today we're going to be chatting with you guys a little bit about Employment Ontario and how employers can access those services and what benefits they may have. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of who we are, so I'll just get you to go to the next slide. Perfect. So, Pincrest-Queensway Employment Services offers a full suite of employment programs to assist individuals looking for meaningful work. We are government funded by the Ministry of Labour Training and Skills Development, and we work under the Employment Ontario umbrella. So that's one of the programs that we work under, which is this incredibly large program. And what they do is they have service sites, and those service sites are everywhere in Ontario. It could be private or a not-for-profit organization who runs those sites. And they run a few different types of programs. So just on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see some of our employer programs that we offer. We'll be touching on a few of those today and leaving some of those out. We wanted to make sure that the information that we give you is super relevant to your needs. But some of the programs that we do offer are our Canada Ontario Job Grant, which we will touch on a little bit later. Our Job Match Placement Incentive, which is the program that we will be diving a little bit deeper into today because we think that's the most relevant for your needs right now. We do have an apprenticeship signing bonus, and we do offer displacement services as well for the employers. And so I'll pass it over to Rob.
There we go. Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everybody. So my name is Rob Kay. I'm an employer liaison with Pincrest-Queensway Employment Services. Before I get started into how we can help, I just wanted to let you know a little bit of what my role is as an employer liaison. You'll have people like myself in your city at the Employment Ontario service provider near you. They may be an employer liaison, they may be a job developer. When you reach out to those facilities, you will be connected with somebody like myself. My real role is to connect with you, the employer, and find out what your real needs are. What are those hiring needs that we can assist with? You know, we at Pincrest-Queensway offer all sorts of things, as you can see from the slide, like free job postings, You have access to our candidates that we have, the financial incentives that we're speaking about today. We also offer assistance with those challenges that unfortunately happen with restructuring, and certainly things like that are going on today. But myself, I used to be an employer, so I was in your shoes. I know the pain and the struggle and the importance of having and retaining, hiring and retaining quality staff. So we're really here to help. And that's, if we can go to the next slide, that would be great. And talking about employer eligibility, how do you take part? You know, how can we get you involved in these programs? And it starts with employer eligibility. These are some basic things. Everybody here licensed to operate and provide employment in Ontario. That's a pretty basic one. You need to maintain appropriate WSIB or alternate workplace coverage. You need to have third-party liability and comply with Occupational Health and Safety Act and the Employment Standards Act. We want everybody to be safe. We want this to be a great program and a great experience for our clients, for the employers, and the employees. It'd be fantastic. If we can just go back, I want to talk about what you shouldn't be doing. So the incentive, you can't be hiring immediate staff, immediate family members. Well, you can hire them, but you can't put them through our training programs. They cannot receive incentives. There's also other government programs out there. There's federal programs. You may have heard of the summer job grant. That's a federal program. That's not through us. You cannot be receiving government funds from any other source for the same training period. That means you can't be having basically double dipping. You can't be running our program, having our incentive, and then having another one for the same individual at the same time. And you're not to be using our services to replace existing or laid off employees. Again, this is so that employers aren't hiring, getting an incentive, laying off, getting an incentive, almost using it as a funding model. We're here to assist with training costs. We really want to benefit yourself, because those training costs can be expensive, but they're definitely needed. So that's the basics of the employer eligibility. And all of this stuff, Aaron and I want you to know, when you have questions, you reach out to us. That's what this is about. It's about communicating with us. We want to make it as simple and as pain-free as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. So for what you guys are all here for today, which is our job match placement incentive. So this is, again, just one of our incentives that we do offer through Employment Ontario to entice employers to hire our candidates and our job seekers. So our job match placement incentive, which you'll notice is JMPI, that's our acronym that we use. So the whole point of the program is to match job seekers with employers and provide a financial support to help offset the cost of hire and training. We know that it's expensive to hire. Specifically me and Rob, I worked in retail management for 10 years prior to this, and he owned his own business. So we both know how much it costs and how much time it costs to actually hire someone. And so that incentive really helps offset that cost a little bit and provides a little bit more of an incentive or an enticement to hire someone. Now that being said, so we do have a specific amount that per individual is available, which is $6,000. So that's the absolute maximum that the government will allow us to spend on an individual. Now, that amount is based primarily on the individual and what sort of potential barriers or challenges they may have entering the workforce. So as an example, if we have someone and, maybe they haven't worked in 5 or 6 years from now, maybe they're an internationally trained professional, they're a newcomer to Canada, and they're having a really hard time finding work. Maybe they have a disability. So those are kind of the suitability, not requirements, but suitability indicators that we look at in order to determine how much someone could potentially, or what an employer could receive for an individual. And then it also takes the training requirements into into consideration as well. So we want to know what type of training you're going to be providing that new employee. Is it super comprehensive? Are they being hired as a manager or a supervisor, and it's going to be, quite a bit longer and more intense, and there's going to, there's a bigger training gap that's needed? Maybe the candidate is the furthest away from the job market. This is new to them. Maybe they're a new graduate and they haven't worked in this field before. Maybe this is their first job. So those are all the types of things that we take into consideration when we look at how much we might be able to support per individual. Generally speaking, in Eastern Ontario, and I do believe for the rest of Ontario as well, we generally are around that $1,800 mark per placement. So that's kind of our average throughout Ontario. So we like to put $6,000 on there because that is available dependent on the candidate. However, generally it's around that $1,800 mark. And like I said, it is dependent on the client. So we do take a look at that after we've assessed that client. Oh, sorry, just pop back 1 second. Yeah, and so then another part of it is that we actually provide support in identifying and resolving workplace concerns and help with retention piece as well. Retention is super important. A really great onboarding, there's some statistics out there that a really great onboarding will maintain, increase your retention upwards of 60 or 70%. So we want to make sure that we're there for that, especially someone who is far away from that labor market, just being there to help resolve any sort of workplace concerns or questions that they may have. Awesome, next slide. So part of our job match placement incentive, it is a training program. So employers, we are looking for you guys to commit to providing relevant training and work experience that will help participants achieve their labor market or employment goals. We never send someone to you if they're not interested in the work that you are providing them. So generally this is in their interests and what they're looking to do. Having potential for long-term employment or contract position. So we understand that at a golf course, for example, it's very seasonal work, and that's totally okay. Sometimes you're just providing an experience for someone. It might be their first job, like I mentioned before. So that's okay, as long as you're upfront about what that's going to look like for that individual. We're all good in that category. We need to know feedback. We need feedback. Sometimes we're going to send you someone and you're going to interview them and they're not going to be a good fit. Or maybe you're going to hire someone and they just don't end up working out. We need to know what's going on with the people that we send you so that we can better assist you for the next time that we send you a candidate or a resume, or we can help within that retention piece. The more that we know about what your needs are, the better we can do to assist you. So employers must also put the participant on the company payroll. This is generally a question that comes up. We are not paying that employee to work for you. We are reimbursing you the cost, or a wage subsidy of sorts for taking on that employee, and we pay that out after the placement has ended. So they're expected to be on your payroll from day one, provide the same employment terms, conditions, benefits as all your regular employees would have as well. And then we do ask during the training period that you provide a minimum of 20 hours per week. That's just because, part of this program is to be able to provide someone with sustainable, income coming in. And so, for our program, 20 hours or less kind of puts a client into that unemployed category. So we do ask for a minimum of 20 hours per week during that placement period. Awesome.
Erin, sorry, I do have a question here.
Yeah, no worries.
What if I hire you? You just mentioned something there.
Mm-hmm.
What if I hire someone through your program and for some reason it doesn't work out? Do I lose those training dollars?
So you do not lose any dollars for up until the last day that person worked. So for example, say we have a 6-week placement in place and that person just isn't a great fit. We would ask that you get us involved as early as possible, because we want to know if we can help rectify that situation. However, we do know that sometimes it's just really not a good fit, and that's totally okay. We would then just ask for the hours worked, and we would pay you that subsidy up until their last day worked. So that's no problem. And sometimes, you know what, it happens where people just stop showing up to work. We can never get a hold of them. These things do happen regardless in the industry that you work in. So that's totally okay as well. If that happens on the candidate side where they just stop showing up, we'll definitely be able to still pay you up until their last day worked. Awesome.
Perfect. Oh. All good, Aaron?
Yeah.
All right. So that was about the job match placement incentive. Now this slide is showing Canada Ontario Job Grant. That's just another one of the options that might be available. The JMPI, as we call it, is certainly probably more relevant to your immediate needs right now, but this is something to think about as well. So Canada Ontario Job Grant, as you can see, it provides employers with support, financial support, if you want to purchase outside training for existing staff, or it could also be for new staff, a new hire. There's a lot of private trainers out there. A good example, say for a golf course, would be somebody in your office that might require a little bit more advanced bookkeeping course that would result in an increase in their wage or a promotion of some sort. That's what Canada Ontario Job Grant is for. You know, maybe you have a maintenance or a groundskeeper that could benefit from a horticulture course, something like that. These are things that we would look at. And again, communication is huge with these sort of things, letting us help you along the way. Let's see if your job grant is going to be successful. And that's what we want. We want things to be successful for you. So you reaching out to us and letting us help you along the way. You know, you can see eligible training costs, tuition, textbooks, software, other required materials, student fees for the course, exam fees. It says travel costs and it has an asterisk there. That's because ideally we would like the course to be, you know, in your city, you know, in Ottawa or in Toronto or in Guelph or somewhere like that. But if there is a strong rationale that, you know, the course just isn't offered in my city, something like that, if you can prove that and if there's strong rationale, then we will definitely look at that and hope to support that. Go to the next, there we go. So this is sort of the part that everybody wants to see. What's my employer contribution? So for a company or a course that has 99 or fewer employees, as you can see, the ministry will contribute up to 5/6, up to $10,000 per participant for a course. These courses, these private courses can be quite costly. You know, and this is a great program. That's the 5/6. That's for an existing employee that you're looking to upgrade their skills. And if you're looking at hiring somebody new, you know, maybe you interviewed somebody and they had fantastic soft skills. You loved them, but they just didn't have that hard skill. You know, why? If they had this course, I'd hire them right away. Well, that's what we can look at. That's if you're able to give them a conditional offer of employment, basically saying, yep, they take this course and they're successful in the course, they have a job at the end of this. That's what the funding is also for, and you can receive up to 100% of the cost of that course. So that's a fantastic thing. Now you can also see on the right-hand side for a larger company, 100+ employees, the ministry is going to contribute 50%. And the employer is required to contribute 50% of that course as well. But a lot of these programs, employers just you haven't known about them, and you don't know that this assistance is there. So it's a great thing. I think I saw maybe Blair might have had a question. I think I saw him pop up on the screen there. Oh, mute. I can't hear you, Blair. Sorry.
Sorry. This is going back to Aaron's last slide, which is, it just came in the question regarding the 20 hours, can that be an average 20 hours a week? Like, because it's a seasonal business and weather issues, you might do 15 hours one week, but the next week you might do 30. So it's offsetting and you're still going to get to that 20 hours on average per week.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, we try to maintain a minimum of 20 hours per week during the placement period, but we are also realistic in a sense of seasonal businesses, weather dependent businesses, and just the fact that sometimes people call in sick or shifts need to get switched or people get cut hours. So that's no problem. We just ask that, you try for that 20 hours. And if it doesn't end up working out and it's a little bit less overall, whether it be, 15 hours one week, 25 hours the next week or vice versa, that's no problem.
And also, either one can answer this. Can you retroactively apply for the jobs grants if you have an employee already enrolled in a course?
Yeah, unfortunately not. It needs to be for, they can't have already started a course or anything like that. You need to be, this is for new employees or it's a new program. And again, that's why an event like today is so good, so that you can get this information so that we can be proactive, and anything that you're looking for moving forward, we're here to help. And it's not just Pincrest-Queensway in Ottawa. Any of the Employment Ontario service providers in the province are going to be thrilled to help you out. And they, I know they will want to be proactive. They don't want you calling and saying, "Hey, I want to hire somebody tomorrow." So try to be as proactive as possible.
Yeah. And we have an entire slide deck for the Canada-Ontario Job Grant because it is a fairly comprehensive program. It's way too comprehensive just to even try and put into 2 slides.
Yeah.
So if that's an interest for people, I would say just let Greg know, and we could hop on again at another later date once you guys have reopened and everything has settled down. And we could give you a little bit more information on that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So there's also a few other ways that we can help. And I really want to make a point to know that, so me and Rob both work for Pincrest-Queensway Community Health Center. And we understand that our guidelines in our ministry are black and white, and then sometimes there's a little bit of gray. So what that basically means is that the information that you're going to see on this slide deck today is all relevant to every other Employment Ontario site. Now that being said, sometimes there is some gray area in that, in terms of hiring maybe an individual that has come from, that you guys have found and would like to hire. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but all of this information that you see on the slide deck is relevant to Employment Ontario. But I would definitely contact your local Employment Ontario office just to get all the details on what exactly they do. A couple other things of ways that we can help, sorry, just go back, is through job fairs, hiring events, information sessions. If you need help just getting the word out there, if you need space to hold a job fair or hiring event, let us know. We can help you out. We can help plan it. We can help with facilitating the space or a Zoom meeting. Whatever way that we can help, we'll definitely try to do that. And then, yeah, do you need some space to hold interviews, whether they're with our candidates or not? We have you covered. I did put an asterisk there because it is Employment Ontario site specific based on how much space they have available. So we have quite a bit of space at PQ, but I know some other sites don't have as much space to be able to hold that. And then we also offer displacement services. So displacement services is an entire program in itself if an entire company was closing down. However, I did want to mention this because I think it's very relevant for seasonal type businesses. When you start laying off your staff at the end of the year, no one likes to do it. You hate to, put someone in a place where they're having to apply for EI, or you really want to hold on to them and you just can't until, you're going to have to wait till the next season. My suggestion is to get an Employment Ontario site involved when you start talking about laying off your staff for the season, because we can get involved and we can, what we do is intake or engage someone into our service so that we can help out, we can help them find their winter job or find another type of work. So it's super important and it looks really great for the employer. I know for the employers I've done it with already, the employees that were getting laid off, obviously they were upset, they didn't like it, but they were really appreciative of the fact that the employer had reached out to us to just, give them another avenue and give them a little bit more support within the community. So next slide. Awesome. So in order to get started with us, the first thing is to connect with your local Employment Ontario site. So Greg is going to send out the link for that. If you are in Ottawa, there are 11 Employment Ontario sites that you can use. However, if you're also from Ottawa, me and Rob would be happy to service all of you guys, of course. But there are there's 10 other sites, or the 10 other Employment Ontario sites. Second thing is that we need you to fill out the employer registration form and send it in the required documents. That is your WSIB, your third-party liability. We will let you know what we need from you. That employer registration form needs to be filled out once per Employment Ontario site that you use. You can use multiple sites. That is an option. We generally recommend most of our employers, their best practice is to use one, maybe two if they have really extensive hiring needs, because you just get to have that relationship with the employer liaison, and the employer liaison really gets to know your needs, and they can connect out to the other Employment Ontario sites to look for candidates. So if we don't have what exactly you're looking for, we will reach out on your behalf to our connections within the community. Tell us your needs. We can help navigate our different programs. You just letting us know what you need, we'll take a look and we'll give you the relevant programs that would make sense for your business and what you need at that time. And then the last thing would be just let us come visit. So we do need to make sure your workplace is safe if we're going to place anybody with you guys. So let us come visit. We love, when we can shake hands again, that'll be awesome. When we can see people in person. So just let us come visit, let us come say hi, meet your team, and we're just going to do a quick visit just to make sure that it's going to be a safe environment.
Erin?
Yes.
How much time is usually required from me sending you a job description to you actually having someone start?
Yeah, it really depends on your needs, right? We can do things as quickly, usually within about a week or so. But it really depends. So we have employers who will send out a job posting and they'll say, we need to hire, as soon as possible. And we do have employers who only come to us for their hiring needs. And what we'll do is we send that out to our employment counselors, take a look at the candidates that they have available. If we feel like it's, we don't have anybody, or maybe you're hiring a large number of people, we will send that out within our network as well. And then once we have resumes flowing, we just send them to you. So we could have someone placed, honestly, within a couple of days sometimes. If they're already registered with an Employment Ontario site, we could have that done fairly quick.
Erin, this might be a good time to mention again the importance of that employer registration form, because really that is that, we're going to have that sent out. That is the first step. We need to have you, the employer, registered with us, so that we can connect clients to you. It's almost like, everybody wants to run and get going, but the sooner you can get that employer registration form, like that, the little bit of heavy lifting at the start of the program, and then it's done. And then we really get going with resumes and really helping you out. So the sooner you can get that in, the better.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that holds up a lot of employers the most, is that registration form, because they're so eager to hire. Yeah. And yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but you only have to do it once. So it's not too bad, and we can help walk you through it.
Oh yeah, I walked through somebody this morning with it.
So.
I got another question here is, what if I have a resume, but it didn't come from you guys?
I will let Rob answer that one.
So if you've got a resume that, and this happens, ideally they're flowing from us, to you, but, that's the reality is, as a previous employer, I know this is the reality, that sometimes they'll come through you. We'd like you to get in touch with us. We'd like to see the resume. This is one of those gray areas. This is a benefit we want to see. Does that potential candidate, are they eligible for our services? Can we really assist them? Quite often we can, and we would love to. And so we would need to intake them into our program. And that's where we can help with those resumes and interview skills and all the things that we do. So again, this is a great service that you as the employer can provide this potential candidate by directing them to us. so that we can intake them, and then the process can begin. So that's certainly a way.
Yeah, and I would definitely say we don't have a slide in here talking about participant eligibility, but to qualify for our program, a job seeker needs to generally be unemployed or underemployed. So unemployed, as I had mentioned before, is working 20 hours a week or less. And then underemployed basically means maybe they have a degree or diploma in recreation, but they're working in retail, or they're working part-time, maybe 25 hours a week, and it's just not fitting up with their skill set. That would be underemployed. We don't generally register students because they're not eligible for our program. However, we do have a little bit of an exception rate that we can meet, and but it really depends on that suitability of the client. What's the rationale as to why a training support would be needed for that specific candidate? And then the last thing would be someone working full-time. Again, we generally wouldn't provide an incentive for someone who's already working full-time. But again, if that rationale is strong enough, absolutely we'll look at anything. And we're always going to try to help you out as much as we possibly can. Sometimes our hands are tied with the ministry. I would also point out that that is an Employment Ontario site-specific policy. So us at PQ, we do look at resumes that come from employers. However, there are some Employment Ontario sites that do not. So I would definitely check with your local Employment Ontario just to double check to see if they would or they wouldn't. I think we only have one site in Ottawa that does not look at those resumes, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up as to, it's very much a gray area for us. Awesome.
With this being a seasonal business,
yeah,
you tend to get some returning employees or previously worked for. Would they be able to work for you?
Unfortunately not, no. So if they are returning employees, if they've already been on your payroll, they don't qualify for our support.
That's the black and white.
That's very black and white, yes. Awesome. Next slide.
There we go. Some best practices. This is definitely from the experience that we've had with various employers, and we just, again, we try to make the program as pain-free and as simple and as easy for you, the employer, and for the clients as possible. So best practices, yes, get us involved before you send out the job posting. That's the big thing. Almost, I could put a big in capital letters, communicate. Let's hear from you. Let's get that registration form done. Talk to us if you have any questions about it. Let's walk you through it. Make sure everything's signed and you're into our system, and away we go. Yeah, talk to us about the job posting. Let's find out what you are really looking for. Let us know your real needs. That's what that is, including what deal breakers. That's kind of, when a job posting goes out, they're often, it has the ideal. You've got this dream job, but we want to know what do you really need? What are the skills that you're really looking for, so that we can really get to it and really help you out the best way possible. Certainly right now with COVID-19, we are certainly seeing clients that are coming to us, talking to us, that are scared, that are just really nervous about the workforce. They want to go back to work, but they're nervous. And so if you are able to, post a little, give us some information about what precautions you're taking, things like that, that really helps us send you the best clients, helps us match those people with you. And as we're going, providing feedback on the candidates we send your way, again, and this isn't just after the placement, during the placement is often critical. I will reach out to my employers and to the clients. How's it going? Is there anything that we can do? I know the importance of retaining staff. And so if we can, oh, Rob, John didn't show up for work 2 times this week. Well, okay, now I can, but you haven't fired him yet. Let's reach out to him and see, is there a communication problem? Was there just something simple that we can take care of on our side, and then away we go and things are great? That's really what we're there for. And then at the end, if we can get any feedback, it's going to benefit John or whoever. It'll also benefit yourself. So we'll know more and more about what you are really looking for and how to better serve you. And then finally, yeah, if you're unsure, ask, and don't forget about us. At the end of the season, when it's, you know, okay, we're closing things up, and then it comes to next year, we're going to hire again. Don't forget about us. Like, let's do this again. Oh yeah, didn't we use a program? Yes, absolutely. These are great things. They evolve over time. Sometimes there are new programs that come out, and a simple email, often we will reach out. But if you haven't heard from us in the middle of the off season or anything, that's when you reach out. You know, that's what we're here for.
Hey, Rob, sorry,
Yeah.
Aaron. Yeah, just want to remind everybody there is the chat function on your page just down below, and that's how you can ask these questions. But I'm just going back to an earlier question, and this relates to, there was talk about a summer's job program or Canadian summer's job in the news quite recently. Is the program very similar?
Yeah, that's a federal program, and that's why I wanted to mention that, simply because I know your members were aware of it. You know, a lot of employers, with what has been going on, how are there programs that can help us? You know, and so of course you'd be looking at that. That program is different from our program. We're provincial. We're Employment Ontario. You can't piggyback one on the other. The summer jobs grant, I think, as you know, you had to have applied for it by the end of February, I believe it was. And so there are differences. So I just didn't want there to be any confusion there. So even, you know, if you weren't able to take advantage of that, this is a great option for you. You know, we can certainly, there are options. You know, we can certainly help you out with the job match placement incentive, and even possibly the Canada-Ontario job grant.
Mm-hmm. And I would actually like to make a note. I know we've talked a lot about retention services that we offer. More often than not, we don't actually have to do any sort of retention work. We do have some really great candidates that we have. We get people from all walks of life. We have newcomers who come in and we're their first stop because they're looking for a job. We have new graduates who've just graduated from high school or university who are just looking for their first job in their field of study. We have a lot of internationally trained professionals that come in. And then we have a lot of people who, you know what, they just work either precarious work or they work a lot of contract work. As I'm sure you guys know, Ottawa specifically and Ontario has turned into a very contractual based city and province. And so a lot of people take 6-month, 1-year contracts, end up being laid off for a period of time. And what they end up doing is reintegrating back into our service. We help them out. We allow them to network, to gain a sense of community with other job seekers. And then they find the next job. And sometimes they actually become our employers as well. So they become employers who work with us and hire our great candidates as well. Yep. So I just didn't want to scare you guys saying, you know, we do so much work in these retention services. We really don't.
I think I've had to do it once.
Yeah, it's really not that often that we do. We have to go in and mediate conflict or anything, but we do pop in every so often to say hi and to see how everything's going because we just want to know what's going on.
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Is there a time frame when we have to do this to qualify? Example, hire by June 30th, or is there availability all summer long? Say to fill a spot when a student goes back to school, could you hire someone in the fall?
Absolutely, we can do this. So this is not just a summer program. Our job match placement incentive runs all year round. Is not just for students. We can serve anybody from the ages of 16 to whenever they want to stop working. We worked with people who are in their 70s looking for work, and we've provided placements and incentives for employers hiring those candidates. So
register right away.
Yeah, you only have to register once.
That's the big thing.
But we can help you out throughout the year. That's no problem. And it's basically what we do is we try to say is just get us involved when you're looking at hiring, right? So when you start thinking and contemplating your hiring, whether that be one position or maybe you're looking to fill 25 positions, just get us involved to see what we can do to help. And we'll let you know about if we have any new programs at that time as well.
Yep.
Here's another question.
Yeah.
The Ontario job grants, are we able to hire, say, back shop people? And are they eligible for 100% grant? I know they talk about training, not much needed for this job.
Yeah, so the Canada Ontario Job Grant is actually looking at a third-party trainer for that. So you're looking to put someone in a training that would help enhance their skills. So a good example of that would be, as Rob said, a bookkeeper. So you have someone, you need a bookkeeper, you need an accountant, but they just don't have those technical skills. You would actually send them up to a program up to 1 year in length. And some programs are a week, some programs are 2 months, but up to 1 year in length to be able to get that training that you need to then bring them on for an individual. We also work with, another example is TMJ physio, which is a type of jaw physio that they don't really touch on in school, but there are some really great private trainers for that. So, if a physiotherapist wanted to become a TMJ physiotherapist, that Canada Ontario Job Grant, they could then go into that program on the conditional offer that they're going to be hired at a specific physiotherapy clinic after.
But Blair, I think that's where the reaching out to us and posing those questions to us or to your local provider. Ask the question. This is the course that I want to send this person on, this employee to. Maybe it's a new employee, but this is what the course is. This is the training. Would it be eligible? And then we're happy to look at that and ideally say yes, but we just need to look at, it's all individual.
Perfect, thank you. So the key message here for all those people listening is to make sure that they register with their. Exactly.
As soon as this is done, Greg's gonna send that out, I think, the registration form, and we'll see, I'm sure we'll see it later today.
And if there's any specific questions or anything that might just be, your company specific, reach out to us. We have our numbers and our emails down at the bottom of this slide. We're more than happy to field those questions, regardless or not if we are your local Employment Ontario office. We're more than happy to field those questions and answers. To the best of our knowledge, we can definitely speak on behalf of what we would do. Like I said, some other Employment Ontario sites do work mildly differently, so definitely reaching out to them is helpful as well. Yeah.
I just got a question here. I've been working with Rob and Aaron probably for the last couple months as we were going to do our spring warm-up together, which got canceled. So one of the things that we had talked about, Rob, is and you just touched on it about registering, just register, and worry about stuff later. Is that something where we would register now while we have the time, and do the paperwork, get that out of the way, and then maybe I don't need any staff till later on in the season? I've already hired all my staff. They've already, come back in before March break, and I've got everything organized. I think they're all going to return. Don't need anybody right now, but let's register and then, come back to you maybe in the fall when there is that turnover.
That's exactly it.
The other days, the golf courses have tons of turnover, whether they find other stuff to do in the summertime or just don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, Greg, that's exactly it. Once you're registered, you're only doing it the one time. You're registered, then you're in with us. You've registered. We've got your information. Then we can start working on. I don't need anything right now, but you know what? I think I'm going to need this. Let's start working on that. We can start having those discussions, but that initial registration hurdle, that's gone. And it really isn't, it's not a big deal. It just takes a little bit of time, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it takes, filling it out, getting a signature, then we input it. We don't want this to seem like it's a real hardship. It's just, we have a couple hoops to jump through and then away we go.
Yeah, it's really not even that, like,
No.
registration form's only a few pages.
Yeah, it's
I
not a
think
big
what
deal.
happens is that some of our employers will forget about it, and then last minute they're like, I need someone in place tomorrow. And in which case we're like, okay, but we still need this information.
Yeah.
And then it poses a little bit of a challenge and just slows things down. What we want to do is make sure that when you're ready to open, that you have the staff in place in order to be able to do it.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time right now, unfortunately. But this is one of those things that you might as well just check that box and have it done.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, Rob, the other day is that, yeah, it is only a page and a half, 2 pages to fill out, but you're doing actually all the work behind the scenes. You're filling out more pages on top of that.
Oh yeah, you know, you send us that, but you know, we're inputting it. You know, we do all the, I'd say the heavy lifting. You know, and that's what we're happy to do. We want to help out the employers. I guess me being an ex-employer, I feel that pain. So I'm happy to help out the employers any way I can.
Yeah. The only other documentation that's really required on the employer part is we do create a training agreement for the first day of work. And we will come into your organization with the, so the new hire is there, the candidate that you've hired, and their supervisor, and we'll just go through that document and get a few signatures. We are ministry funded. There is on our end, there's quite a bit of paperwork and filing and everything that we need to do. As you guys can imagine, I'm sure you guys have applied for a passport before, so you can imagine how much paperwork the ministry sets out for that. But we do most of it and then just require a few signatures on your part.
Yep.
Is there any fee with respect to registering?
We are totally free.
Yeah,
we
no
give
fee.
You money.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure that's what our members' money.
Yeah, we will give you money.
Yeah,
we will
that
help
brought
with
some
your
smiles.
training costs, and we do the majority of the administrative work. And think of us like an extension to your HR department, right? We're definitely there to help. So, which is funny how sometimes we feel like we have to sell our services to people, but I think it's just because they're really complex to understand sometimes, and there's just a lot of them. There's, when you start looking at incentive programs, there's hundreds of them out there in Canada, right? And so which one is going to be best for your needs? And our job match placement incentive usually can cover most situations. Yep. So,
Rob, we went back and forth and you asked a couple questions to myself. Can you speak a little bit? You had asked about different parts of the golf course that were looking for different positions. I had always said, I get a call in the summertime once a week from golf courses looking for chefs or line cooks. Is that something where maybe different offices have different pools, or do you hit the pavement looking for that to fill that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why reaching out to different locations is sometimes beneficial, because every location will have a different pool of candidates. We're not like a temp agency that might have all high tech. One of my colleagues said, we've got doctors to dishwashers, and really, that's true. We can have, such a wide variety of candidates. And so wherever you are, that's the importance of reaching out to that site and posing the question and getting them the job description, what you're looking for, what you're really looking for early enough, so that the counselors can be talking to their clients and seeing who we have. Like, let's really start to match up some people with these courses. There is a lot of food service workers, the line cooks, absolutely, that, servers, anyone for your courses, we would be able to help with, but it depends on our pool at that time. So communicating with us early really helps.
Yeah, and what we do a little bit of outreach for you as well. So in Ottawa specifically, we have a coalition of the Employment Ontario sites. We have a very good network with them. So if, for example, you're looking for a line cook, and we just, for whatever reason, out of our hundreds of candidates that we generally have on our roster, we just don't have anybody that fits what your needs are. Like I had mentioned before, we will reach out to them. I can't speak for the other Employment Ontario sites throughout the province of Ontario on how good their network is, but I would assume that they do have connections with the other local Employment Ontario sites, and they do work together. We will also post your positions on our Facebook page. We will post them on our LinkedIn page as well. And then we send it out to our employment networking group, which not only has Employment Ontario offices in it, but all of those different employment related organizations and social services that are available in the area that you're in. So we will do that, but that's at PQ. I'm assuming it's fairly similar with every other Employment Ontario site as well.
Here, another question just came in. Do you guys help out with the job description?
Sorry, you cut out there, Blair.
Yeah, I heard that, Blair.
Do you help with the job description, or does that already have to be in place when the request for the position?
Quite often it might be in place, but that's where we will help, just the wording. And we talk about, that's where those real needs are. What do you really require? What does the job entail?
And to, I think, make sure it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I've definitely worked with, I work with a lot, I used to be an employment counselor last year with another Employment Ontario office. And I remember working with a really small company who didn't have an HR department, and they're the entrepreneur, but didn't really have some of those skills that the HR skills. And on their job description, it said that they were looking for someone with a university or master's degree for a position that really a college diploma actually probably would have been more preferable. And so I had made that recommendation to them, and they took it, and they ended up finding some really good candidates for that. Once they kind of eased up on their requirements on their job description, we know the labor market. We do research every single day for it. We are constantly talking to people and what their requirements are and what it looks like. So we can make those recommendations if you'd like us just to take a look over it or help you build one.
I think I get the last question, which is great. Rob, here's an example, and this actually I lived through this, is that we would hire staff, small golf course, and they would work as a dishwasher or work in the back shop. Yeah. You can right away see that they're probably smarter than the people making double the money. Near the end of the year, we'd move around different positions to keep people on longer. Maybe he got out of the area that he started in, and then you realize that, he's interested in working in maintenance and he started in the back shop, or he's working as a dishwasher, but wow, he's really good. He could be a customer service in the pro shop and kind of move up through the levels. Is that something, and I think I know the answer, is that we would come see you and throw it off you and say, this is the training that I want to do over the winter time. Is that something that we can get covered?
That might be something that the Canada Ontario Job Grant might be able to assist with. If somebody, you've kind of seen somebody that might be a bit of a star, and if I gave them a little bit of extra training, but it's kind of costly to do that, but I've got some time, things line up. That's what the conversation with us would absolutely benefit, because then we can look at, let's see if we can, the Canada Ontario Job Grant can assist with that, and get that guy or girl to have that benefit, move up the ranks a little bit. They've got a new role. They're making a little bit of a higher wage. It's good training. That's what we're here for. And that's what those programs are here for. So again, it's mainly just reaching out to us and posing those questions.
Okay. Thanks again, Aaron and Rob, for your time today and all the great information you provided and all the questions you answered. I think the key to this is be sure to fill out the survey question you're going to receive from them, and also to locate the best employment office to help you, one that's local. They can provide you with more detailed information. Thank you to Blair and Sean, and to Mark Fraser. No one sees Mark. He's from the NGCOA team, hiding behind the scenes, putting this webinar together, making sure it goes smoothly. Thanks again to our platinum sponsors, which these would not be possible without. Again, Club Car, Integra, Moneris, Moosehead Breweries, Tion.com, and the Toro Company. On behalf of all my colleagues, Sean and Blair, please know that we are working hard to get Ontario golf courses back open soon. So please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions. Have a great day, everyone, and fingers crossed, hopefully we have some good news tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thanks again.